Welcome back to WCS Montreal as we are in day number 1, group stage 3, and we almost conclude this group stage actually. We have a few more matches here and there across these groups to find out who is going to make it in to the round of 16. I am joined to my left-hand side here by Nathanius and Zombie Grub to get things going for a very special match as we have Haas going up against TLO. I just had to pause for dramatic effect there. That was very important then, Nathanius.
Two players that have done a lot of awesome things in their career, but will forever only be known for their madness.
That's brilliant.
That's pretty much it. I think we're expecting some ridiculous plays and builds out of Haas, as he is wont to do, and hopefully something ridiculous out of TLO. In some of these situations, he just weirdly plays like too standard, because like, I don't always have to be creative, and it's like, TLO, it's like, kind of what people want, you know?
Yeah, that's what it's like.
Everybody in the chat is probably just spamming like creative, like with like a TLO emote or something, you know?
Of course, it's very important. Zombie Grub, they did play before against one another in this group, and we saw cannon rushes coming out of Haas, as well as all of the wizardry, like an 8-gate Zealot. It might have been 7 or 8-gate, I can't remember. But is he going to bring similar things to the table? And then TLO should be very ready.
Good question, is that clear?
Yeah.
Of course, he's going to bring similar things to the table. I would not be surprised though, it went exactly like it did in the last series. I feel it's been a long time since the group curse actually existed. Otherwise, I would have given like, you know, a lot of credit to Haas in this one. But no, I think Haas going to do a couple weird things. TLO's going to fall to one of them and then take the other 2 games exactly like last time.
Yeah. He is the mother of oracles, as I mentioned before.
He likes oracles, and as you mentioned, he did it in the last tournament that we casted him as well, where he does this thing where he will take his probes off of his gas once he starts charge, and that's it.
Yeah.
He builds, that's it, just zealots, just pouring down your throat off 2 bases. You're like, I didn't know you could get charge this fast. Like, well, that's like Blizzard's like, oh yeah, let's make this patch, let's make charge a bit easier to get. Haas is like, this is my bread and butter now.
Yeah.
yeah, he tried that, and TLO knew exactly that, so I don't know if it's actually going to work again. He has so many things up his sleeve, though. Did we actually see most oracles?
We did not, I don't think,
well,
in that
that's
series.
right up there. Just grab it, just use it. It's actually kind of a build nowadays, not just a Haas special.
Yeah, now it became a thing.
He was just ahead of the time.
He was,
He's ahead of the meta.
Yeah, and nobody knew.
They say all the the bad cheeser players are actually they're just kind of like tapping into something with their like their lesser skill that if greater players found a thing. And now it's a thing. Now people just mass oracles all day, every day.
All right, well, we are ready to head over to Mal on the stage for Haas versus TLO. This should be a good one, right, Mal?
This should definitely be a good one. You know, I wish that StarCraft 2 never ended, but that would make our jobs and our days really miserable. So unfortunately, we are down to our last series of the day 1 of the WCS Montreal. Are you guys ready? Are you guys excited? There you go, there you go. Now, if you've been enjoying the show up until now, you're really, really in it. You are really in it for the ride for this one. The battle between the 2 kings of the creativity is ready to go under its way. Please, everyone, I don't care if you're at the venue or you're watching at home, at a bar, just don't worry how people view you. For the last series of day 1 of WCS Montreal, scream and please loud and wild round of applause to TLO and Haas.
That's right, Mal. Everyone's a bit diffused and confused by some of these plays, but that's how
what's he talking about? It doesn't last forever. I mean, I got my food IV and everything here.
Yeah, you're okay.
I'm just casting for 4 days straight.
You're ready for a normal esports tournament, is what you're trying to say.
I thought we were here till at least 4 in the morning.
That's normally how it goes here at DreamHack. Actually, no, that's kind of been retired for a little bit. I remember some broadcasts going till 2 or 3 a.m. at DreamHack. Long days, but fun days.
I remember watching those casts.
You did.
Great job.
Thanks, Zombie Grub. Well, here is Haas, of course, who brought his own flair and own style to StarCraft 2 for a long, long time. He was always playing outside the box, outside the world of normal StarCraft 2.
He would go outside the box and he'd change the box into a different shape, and the player's like, this isn't a box. It's like, you're trying to do standard builds, but it doesn't work. That's it. You're a completely different planet at that point.
It's like, at that point, you're outside the box. You're like, this is a Tesseract, and all kinds of confusion goes on.
Exactly. Like, what is the time cube? Where am I?
Yeah, so a scary thing to go up against for TLO, because as much as we look at this series, Zombie Grub, and say, yes, TLO is probably the favorite, you never know what can happen with Haas.
I mean, the last time we brought this series up and the last time they played was, I mentioned, like, no one wants to face the guy. No one wants to be like, yeah, Haas, that's an easy 2-0, because they're like, it's and then they kind of question themselves.
Is it though? Is it any
easier though? Exactly.
There's the two players people don't want to face in this world, Innovation and Haas.
Yeah.
For two different reasons,
yeah.
But there you go. Those are the two names that stick out.
Yeah. So you know this Innovation's good and he's going to do the same thing every game and destroy you. It's like Haas. It's like he's not as good, but he's going to do weird stuff every game and still destroy you.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'm getting notification that our series is ready, so we can head over to our commentary team here for Haas versus TLO. So In Control and Todd, take it away.
A PvZ and a rematch, Rotty, with TLO going up against Haas. We were lucky to witness their first match a little bit over there on the laptops at the desk. How do you think this one's going to go?
I think it's going to go very similar, Johan. I think it's going to be magic all across the map again. This time we're going to kick things off on Odyssey. In the previous series, these two played against each other. They played against each other on Abyssal first. And what happened, Todd, was 3 pylons, 2 cannons, getting a cancel on
and
the...
GG.
Yep, getting the cancel on the hatch at first, and then the moment that the hatch went down and the cannons went down, TLO ran across the map. That's when the Mothership Core showed up, overcharged the pylons, and he got another cancel. So I think it's going to be a fun series. We are loading into Odyssey. Over here on the right bottom side, looking at the main base of the Zerg, representing Team Liquid. It is TLO.
And his opponents. He's made a lot of fans around the world with his amazing gameplay and creativity himself. It is Taiwan's Haas.
The Breaker of Carlaris. I kind of like that. I like that James gave him that nickname himself. Talks about himself in the third person. His hero's career is really getting to his head, isn't it?
I'm not surprised.
So it seems like Haas is going to get a little crazy over here already, Todd. He's going to go Nexus first at the gold on Odyssey.
The last time they played on this map, that was the final map, I think, of their series, and Haas went for 7 or 8 gates, charge loads with no gas, which just didn't work, because TLO started making roaches early and knew what was coming. This time around, because Zerg doesn't drone scout, TLO's gonna realize kind of late what's happening. And I mean, it's very hard from there, right? Like you can link flood if you open with speed, but Haas build is supposed to be solid enough to defend that. So then you go into like a weird game where Zerg might be inclined to take the gold base themselves, but then Haas can still swarm with a lot of different stuff himself.
The problem I just have with Haas taking the gold at first is that it becomes incredibly hard to also defend your main against potential link drops, right? If you take a look at the top side of the main base of Haas, how far away that is from the gold, like that's forever. He has such a large area of the map to cover to protect himself from being safe against potential link floods, link drops. Even a bailing boss can be very tricky to deal with. Even though right now Dr. Dario has still absolutely no idea that this is actually happening. He did scout for cannons, by the way. He realized that he wasn't being cannon rushed. He's been incredibly active scouting around his base, but he has no idea about this gold yet.
Yeah, I even checked the very bottom of the map to see if there was any proxy. There was not. Haas just rushing for that gold base. His income is going to completely blow up out of control here. The question is, what does he go for here with this? The probe getting found out on the map, this is a big deal here, because Haas, you can always expect shenanigans out of him with this. At least one pylon, for warpins.
So what would you like, Todd? I think I'd personally like to just see a Stargate, just to keep things safe, because I feel Stargate is at least very good against any sort of Zerg aggression. If you go for a couple of Oracles, I think going for Oracles and Zealots from this point on would actually make a lot of sense.
Yeah, but Haas doesn't go for what makes sense. That's the thing with him. He goes for a Twilight Council. Now, last time they played, remember, we talked about how he went for charge and a lot of charge loads. Now, Haas is going to have some incredible income because he went for the gold base. Maybe do the same thing, but at a different timing because he's going to have so much gold.
Well, TLO is about to find out what exactly he's up against as these first 4 Zerglings do spot the gold base. Actually gets a probe immediately. Really wants to get that second probe, and he does get it. That's actually pretty decent, Todd, for just 4 Zerglings.
And a robo did go down here from Haas, so you can fully expect a prism to be made here. Eventually, as the Twilight Council finishes, we're going to have charge start again. This is what I was talking about here, with Haas once again going for a lot of charge loss across the map. The fact that his income is going to be so much superior here with the gold base, you can actually do that at a much earlier timing than otherwise. He already stopped mining gas here. It's going to be a huge commitment to the exact same build that he did last time, just with the gold this time around instead. And this time around, TLO's not going for roaches. He's going for a bailing nest, so he's not going to have roaches to kite with.
This is going to be a lot harder. Now, the previous game that Johan was mentioning, we watched it quite carefully because we were having a lot of fun just watching Haas do his thing. But TLO opened up with Burrow and Roaches. So A had a lot of micro potential, and B, there was no detection with the push. Even though there was a prism, there was no observer. This time, I think it's going to hit even faster because of the gold base. It's also going to hit even harder because there are more minerals to work with. Once again, Haas likes to do this, by the way, the 2 adapts just to buy time and distract his opponent. I'm actually quite worried for TLO, Todd. He's on 27 workers, and a Warp Prism is heading to the other side of the map that is ready to warp in 8 Zealots with charge at a time. TLO is making a lot of links and banes. This is going to get very scrappy, very messy. Let's see how good Photon Overcharge is defensively.
Yeah, actually, oh my god, that was the last one for a while here. Has forcing a first, TLO forcing a first overcharge earlier with just a couple links, now again. And TLO is just going to destroy that gold base with everything that he can here. All of these links and banes are going to roll right in there. There's no defense left here from Haas on that base, and he still has yet to counter-attack. He needs to send the Zealots forward on the other side of the map, but TLO is going to be ready. He's only making units right now.
Haas could have warped in a couple of Zealots defensively, but he went for the offense instead. These Zealots run headfirst into a few Banelings. Queens are in decent positions as well. One Queen does go down. Few extra Zealots are going to show up, and these are the dangerous Zealots. Does TLO have enough to not straight up die? I think he does, Todd. With some reinforcements, with some Queen micro, I think the German Zerg should be all right here.
Yeah, he's losing some of these Queens here eventually. The charge loss, as he's trying to keep them alive here with some nice pickups from the Warp Prism, which is going really low. Oh my god, just one hit away from dying here. As he's going to be able to get out of there. But the gold base has been ransacked here at this point, and Haz's income is just in shambles.
Yep, he's still Corona boosting the Twilight Council as well. A tiny bit sloppy. Could potentially put that on the Nexus so he can get a few extra probes out. Maybe transfer a few more probes, but I guess he has a full wall of in his main. That's something that Haas likes to do when he goes for these all-ins. He needs to do more damage, Todd. I mean, TLO's economy is not great, obviously. He's on 25 drones. But if you lose all your probes at the gold, you're stuck. This is going to happen over and over and over again because this gold base is wide open. It's safe to say that Haas needs to do more than he's done so far on the other side of the map.
And TLO has had some really good defense here so far. Yeah, having just enough banings as well to do a lot of damage to these Zealots so that the Lynx can finish the job. That one Spore going to help tremendously. Overcharge across the map here on the one pylon that's pouring out of these buildings, but it's not enough links here to be a real threat.
A lot of the drones did go down this time though, Todd, with Haas splitting up his Zealots a little bit over the natural and the main, also using a little bit of Warp Prism micro. Suddenly TLO only has 17 drones left. He does have 3 hatcheries. That's not a full wall-off. He could potentially transfer some workers from the main to the gold. I guess he's worried about losing them.
Is that not a full wall-off?
No, I don't think so, right? Actually, I think it is, yeah. I thought maybe between the pilots, but no, you're right. That's why he's not transferring workers. Haas has 22 probes. Imagine if he puts 12 probes at the gold.
Yeah.
Then I don't think TLO can keep up anymore. Oh, this Prism, Todd.
He needs to keep it alive. That's... Haas is a bit of a gambler here with this. Oh my god!
No, with 4 Zealots inside of it as well.
That is not good here. He's going to start another Warp Prism immediately, but at this point, TLO, he should know that he can drone up at least for a little bit before the next Prism comes across the map.
I love how he tried to unload Zealots in the water over there on the right bottom side. It's like, guys, can you jump out?
We'll take the vacation, but gee, they can't in fact be unloaded there.
So this was the biggest problem for Haas. If Haas wouldn't have walled himself in, there's a really good chance that he would have been able to just send a few probes to the gold. Obviously, they would still be a little bit exposed, but you can wipe in 1 or 2 defensive units as well. His economy would have actually been a lot better than the economy of TLO, and there's a good chance that TLO would not have been able to keep up. Look at the Chrono Boost, by the way, Todd, on the Cybernetics core and the Twilight. Like, come on, Haas.
I'm as tilted as you are right now.
Yeah, like, I can't. Okay, now he has it on the Robo. He did need that second Prism, so I can sort of live with that.
I wouldn't mind Haz actually mining gas and going for DTs maybe, even though like it's so expected. He did do that as well last time he played against TLO, and which didn't work at all.
For TLO right now, it's hard to figure out how good the economy of Haas is, right? I'm sure he knows that he did quite a bit of damage, but at the same time, Dario lost a lot of drones as well. Right now, it's 29 against 31, but TLO does have 3 bases. And obviously, this is Legacy of the Void. 8 minutes and 40 seconds in, your main is pretty much going to run out. So Haas is going to be a 1-base Protoss soon if he doesn't drop another Nexus.
Do you think he mines, though? Probably not.
What's happening? Did he wall those probes out or something?
Passing, bro.
Okay, there you go. All right, well, that's a very saturated gold base. Every Zerg right now is closing their eyes and wondering what happens when 2 Banelings wiggle their way.
Oh, this
of
will
the
do
middle
damage.
line.
There's nothing there. If you can keep those Zealots here towards the middle line, it just requires too many Banelings for TLO to clean this up effectively. All of those Banelings are triggered there, but then there's going to be only Lings here to counter the rest of the Zealots, which are destroying the third base.
Pretty decent splits there by Haas, as he indeed...
2 base against 2 base?
Yeah, it's actually not all that bad. Obviously, the main of TLO is going to have slightly more resources left because he's been losing quite a few drones inside of his main. But this is awkward. I mean, TLO doesn't have a hive
That main
deck.
base looks hilarious.
It looks very sad and empty. Once upon a time, thought there was a beautiful Protoss community there, but there were just no more jobs. A couple of Zealots are going to run forward into base again.
Actually.
Yeah, I actually feel
that Banelings hit big time, but
this is actually not going that well for TLO. I feel, especially with a little bit of Warpers and
he's trying to go for Roaches, but this is a little bit late here. TLO with the transition attempt here has still trading with those Zealots. He's saving a lot of them, and then they're regenerating shields eventually. Has smells blood in the water, so he's going to keep on going forward. TLO, in a game that looked like it was super good for him at some point here, might be in a lot of trouble as he loses more and more drones.
Yep, was just never able to establish the economy. He was looking for good pickups there again by Haas. Saves 3 Zealots. Now TLO is still sort of in it because Haas doesn't really have any follow-up either. But Todd, I agree with you. Start mining some gas. He's got all the gas in the world left in his main base. Pump out a few Immortals and start dropping like Immortals from your War Prism. And what can ever go wrong?
Yeah. And why wouldn't he take the third base there, by the way, you know? Like,
I was actually thinking about
the other goals, right?
Yeah, no, the right top side I was thinking, because that's the one that TLO would never scout.
The other goal, bro. You go double gold on that thing. Go big or go home.
Yeah, we used to do that on Prime Terraces. Those were the days. Huh? SOS showed us the way. Haas still being annoyed. How many drones did Haas kill in this game? Must be quite a few by now, right? 24 and 177 Zerglings, while 64 Zealots have gone down. Now it's close to 70. The Queen tries to get the Warp Prism, but it's not going to work. Now the Spore Crawler is going to try to get a Prism, but it lives as well.
Oh my god, and he just keeps going here with these Warpins. As long as he can trade here, those Zealots are expendable.
What a game.
It's like, what? This is WCS? I thought I was playing Mono Battle right there.
This is the most Haas game I've seen in a little while, Todd. I'm loving it. 11 minutes and 32 seconds of pure Zealots with charge. But I actually think that hey, did he just lose the Warp Prism?
Yeah.
Wow, to that Spore Crawler. So that's the second Prism that went down. That buys a little bit of time for TLO. But TLO doesn't really have an economy, Todd. I mean, neither does Haas, I guess, but soon he will.
He has much more of an economy than TLO right now, that's for damn sure, with all of these probes.
I would really like to see him mine some gas, though. Like, you know,
he's trying to make a point.
What's the point?
It's like when Zenster got Grandmaster on North America, never taking a gas with just loadings and queens.
This is actually a little bit of a tell.
Wants to be TLO without a gas.
I think that TLO right now is aware that there might be a base in the left bottom side. Otherwise, where are those probes heading? There's only so many probes you can put on a gold base, obviously. So TLO, I think, is going to check for it right now with those Zerglings. Maybe he can morph them into Banes. He still has a Baneling nest, so that would be quite massive. He could potentially find the resources to do so.
He gets the bad news. TLO can try to maybe use his mobility to run around and do some damage on that, but he knows that the onslaught of Zealots is going to keep coming. And at this point, TLO is so broke, like getting enough Banelings to defend against the waves of charge loss coming forward is going to be almost impossible. He starts those too late as well. They're going to get cancelled as the fight begins across the map, and the reinforcing War Prism was remade once again.
This is going to be incredibly tough for the German Zerg to survive. Roaches are very good against Zealots, but the numbers are overwhelming right now for the Taiwanese Protoss. As I think, Todd, he is very, very poised and keen to take a 1-0 lead here in this deciding best of 3 of the round of 32. As I just don't think there is any stopping this Protoss army. That's a few too many Zealots. GG. Haas takes the 1-0 lead.
Great job by him, but I have to say he was mining gas at the end, so he didn't prove his points.
Man, that has to be a very stressful scenario for TLO right now. TLO has looked pretty good so far in this tournament. Won the first series against Haas as well. Finally avoided Neep, which is obviously the dream that he had all along. He just wanted to show that he could actually go far in these tournaments. And now suddenly he finds himself down 0-1 against the shenanigans. Is not even a good way to describe it of Haas, because it's just Haas.
I mean, if you look at their first series, right, this is what you would expect out of a Haas versus TLO. Like, TLO maybe, you know, gets surprised in one of the games, gets cannon rushed, and then loses one game, but then wins 2-1. I think most of the time, this is what you would expect. But now being down 0-1, with all the pressure that means to be there here for TLO and in his position. He's going to have to make sure this doesn't happen again, which against Haz is always the whole challenge. Even if you scout what he's doing, defending it and anticipating the follow-up is always so hard, right?
I honestly feel that TLO should just defend against a player like Haz, because we all know that Haz likes to attack, right? He's always going to attack. Of course, he can cut corners as well. There's a good chance you're going to go up against mass Oracle nonsense, maybe even carriers later on, hidden bases. But I still think the best thing you can do against a player like Haz is just defend, macro up, not too crazy. Make sure you know what's sort of happening on the other side of the map, but at least be safe, have a Roach Warren. The moment you start being aggressive against the gold base with Ling Bane while leaving a few units behind, I feel you're playing the game that the Taiwanese Protoss really wants to play, and they just have more experience in that part of the jungle, Todd.
You know what the TLO's problem is? Is that he keeps hearing that saying that everybody uses, the best defense is offense.
Yes.
So now he was like, let's defend, and then he attacked with all of his links, and he started taking damage across the map. If he could have unpowered those gateways actually on the gold base, that would have been great for TLO, but I guess he just didn't have enough links. And
they were quite protected as well, I think, by the SimCity. Yeah?
I think he planned all along to do, you know, that Ling Bane style. Maybe he thought that there could be some adepts in the plants, or even against charge lots he was going to be okay as well, but he definitely thought he was going to be able to do more damage here to the gold base, because killing all the probes is nice, but obviously Protoss can remake those, and then the counter-attack eventually started doing too much damage.
Well, we're getting ready for a big game here for the German Zerg, as he is down 0-1 as we are loading into Abyssal Reef. He is representing Team Liquid all year long, Todd. He wants to make it to the playoffs. Can he do it today? It is TLO.
De Wunsch.
The Wunderwunsch.
His opponent in the red and playing Protoss, or playing his own race, to be honest, at this point. It is Haz.
The fourth race of StarCraft 2. The man who just plays Protoss a little different than everybody else. Now, Todd, I want to see it. Are we going to see a gateway? Are we going to see a forge? Is it going to be both? Or is he just going to go for a Nexus?
Just a gate so far with a quick scout here out of Haz. If you see this probe from Haz as well here in your TLO, you're already kind of quick in your boots, you know, wondering whether there's going to be some sort of cannon. And, you know, Haz's off race actually is Zerg. Like, it's his second best race, and he's pretty good with it. He plays it quite a bit. I was watching him backstage earlier playing it. Actually, he played a ZVZ, the game that I watched, and he had Mass Ultras and Mass Broodlords in a ZVZ, I'm not kidding you.
This is actually quite funny. We have a pause. In control would say, tactical pause, probably. Because Haz just paused the game because he thought for a split second that the game speed was wrong. He's like, what game speed is this? And TLO's like, it's fine, it's faster. He's like, are you sure? And like, yeah. And the observer is like, yeah, it's fine. He's like, oh, okay, let's continue. You can see that even someone as experienced as Haz, who has played tournaments all across the world, right now just feels different, Todd. He feels out of his element. He's probably getting a little bit nervous, and he just looks at the game. He's like, this doesn't feel like StarCraft. There's something wrong. But actually, there's nothing wrong at all. You can just see it's all in his mind.
Maybe he's used to playing with ping.
Yeah, that too. He's like,
there's no lag.
Where's the lag? You know, he's like, normally I've got 220
They broke
ping.
my chains, I'm free.
It's like, my probe's actually reacting over here. This is so odd. Normally, they just run straight into the death. Now, this is a tricky opening coming out of TLO, Todd. It's pull into hatchery, but now he's also getting a gas. Haz is going to scout this. If I would scout this, Todd, I would never do anything else other than a one-gate Stargate. Because if you open up with a Twilight, there's a good chance he just Roach Ravager rushes you and you're dead. Even against Banelings, it can be very hard to defend. I really feel that Haz right now is forced to open up with a Stargate, which is obviously very strong macro-oriented.
But why do you do this to yourself? It's Haz.
That's true.
It's definitely not going to be a Stargate.
I mean, probably shouldn't try to predict this, man.
To be honest, Abyssal Reef, great map for Oracle opener into Mass Oracles, which Haz was one of the first guys using this kind of build here. So we'll see in a second. He has almost 150 gas, so Stargates definitely quite likely. It does go down.
Yeah.
Yes, please. I want to see Haz's Mass Oracle.
This circling might be able to pick off this probe. The adept shows up a little bit too late and is kind of slacking on the job as well. So one probe does fall. That's obviously a nice little pickup there for TLO, and he did scout the Stargate as well, which is massive. This should obviously disencourage TLO from going for any sort of Roach Bosch, because that just could potentially not work. You know, defensive Oracle is good against it, and Void Ray is excellent against it. So right now, TLO should probably just take the minor economic hit he took for himself and just macro up.
I wonder if TLO at this point is able to anticipate some sort of mass oracle as well, just from seeing one target. I guess it's a possibility, but whoa, we got a Phoenix actually on the way.
Could be.
He always does whatever nobody would expect. Like the last thing you would expect, that's what he goes for.
He's like, I made oracles before, it was cool. I'm gonna go back to Phoenixes. I don't know why everybody's copying me these days.
Yeah. I'm gonna show Neeb and Showtime. They have no clue.
But this could also just be that one Phoenix that is supposed to kill Overlords and scout a little bit and then make oracles behind it, which is something that is obviously very much so in Haas's ballpark. And that seems to be the case. This doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be mass oracle, but there is a very good chance we are going to see Stargate number 2 and perhaps eventually Stargate number 3 as well.
You know what's the greatest mind game actually to that? Is if he goes mass gateways and then mass adepts, all charge loads. Because then
one oracle?
Yeah, the Zerg is overmaking spores, he's overmaking queens, he's focusing on defending against mass air, and then you hit him with mass ground, and he has all these anti-air units that don't do enough against ground.
Yeah, this is one of these games where it's going to be incredibly difficult for TLO to scout. He doesn't have Overlord speed, and soon thought I really think it's going to be borderline impossible for TLO to get any sort of vision into the main base of Haas. And these adepts are going to get some serious work done as well. If you get 4 or 5 drones in this phase in the game, that's massive. And getting 4 already, wants to get number 5, doesn't get number 5. But, you know, still slows down the economy of Zerg quite a bit. What's it going to be, Todd?
Second Oracle is on the way, and we got 2 more gases also being taken here from Haas, so I guess more Stargates is way more likely and then more gateways. So far, he's making sure that third base does go up here with an overcharge.
So TLO does spot both oracles here, which I think is already a pretty big tell of what could potentially going on. Now, sometimes Protoss players do stop after 2 oracles, as that is like kind of the sweet number to just one-shot drones over and over again. But TLO ain't crazy. TLO knows he's playing against the man that made mass oracles before everybody else did. So there is still a very good chance we'll see Stargate number 2 and perhaps even number 3 go down soon. But there is a Forge going down as well. Okay.
Maybe some cannons here and there, because how many gates he has on?
I think it's just 1, right? I think it's 1 gate Stargate.
Yeah, that's crazy, actually. He didn't make Warp Gate at all. It's a Roddy build.
Oh, what a man.
Where's the +1 air weapon?
At the absolute highest level, Todd, saving those 50 minerals and 50 gas can make the difference, and Haas is just proving that right now. Who needs Warp Gate in WCS? Not this man. Wow, that's 3 extra Stargates. All right, so he's going to go to 4 Stargate almost immediately. What a man, Todd.
And I mean, this is one of the easiest maps that you can take a 4th and 5th base on, just because they are so clumped up together. You can get a ton of cannons and then go into mass air. I mean, carriers against Zerg, we don't really see it that much anymore, but here is a real possibility. But usually from Haas, you'd see something like, you know, a modest amount of oracles, like 30 before, you know, before you would go there.
I think carriers are still excellent, as long as you can get them out there. If you get a couple of oracles as well to attack potentially infestors. If you can get up to 7, 8, 9 carriers and your opponent is not incredibly rich, that's still going to be very hard for the Zerg to deal with. The first 4 oracles are going to show up. They got a queen. But that's about it. Maybe a second queen is going to go down here if TLO is not careful. But he's actually making Hydra start of a relatively low economy here. This is not that 72, 74 drones that we're used to.
And if TLO like treats this as a standard build and tries and do a timing with Hydralisks, it's going to be hit or miss completely, right? Like if there's enough oracles and Hash crushes it, then he's basically won the game. But then if TLO can do enough damage and snipe the 4th base, he will be the one in the lead. In this case, he will be a big risk for sure.
I'm really starting to get a little bit nervous here for TLO. I think it's safe to say we all know how much this means for him. He wants to break into those playoffs of WCS so incredibly badly. He's been working really hard. I think he feels good about his shape, but I don't think this game is going that well for TLO at all. He's down 9 workers. He's going to go for this attack, which you said is hit or miss. And so far, all the points and signals are heading towards miss, I think, because I think the Oracle number is going to be almost as high as the Hydra number, and that is not a fight you ever want to take as a Zerg.
By the way, this group was absolute madness, if you think about it. Zenster, who previously beat Special, who's the top finisher in all the previous WCS events, he lost to Haas. And then now we got Haas maybe on the verge of qualifying for the next round here if he beats TLO. Like,
yep, I think
upset all over the place, man.
I think our Korean Zerg True was in this group as well. The defending champion of WCS Montreal. And he topped it, I think, straight 4-0. I always feel whenever True gets in a little bit of danger of dropping out of the top 8, he's like, no, it's fine. You know, I'm still True. I'm still pretty damn good. I would love to see an infestation pit from TLO, Todd. I really think that TLO's best case here is just to turtle up, stay on 3 bases, slowly go up to 4 bases, and actually get an infestation pit and try to get some oracles out. And obviously carries are scary. Meanwhile, Haas is taking a very random base on the left bottom side of the map.
Oh, I think he's going to go for the natural base here in a second. He's flying all the way around. There's no overlord to spot this coming, so the army of TLO will be out of position. That's going to mean these spores are going to die basically right away here.
Yeah, they do buy a little bit of time though. One spore crawler dies, the second one almost dies. But it seemed like Haas was a little hesitant there, right? He wasn't incredibly decisive, didn't just straight up go for it. But what he is doing, Todd, is securing a 4th base. He's gonna go for Oracle number 5, why not?
Yeah, that's a 5th base actually, right above this, that he's taking with one more Stargates because...
What?
We heard you like Oracles, so we put some Oracles in your Oracles.
Todd, can you explain the lurker then? I mean, I know we're watching TLO and he's incredibly creative, but lurkers against...
What if he was to siege with mass spores and lurkers?
Yeah, I guess eventually... Yeah, I mean, there is nothing on the ground
Can you believe the creativity?
I really don't think he needs the lurker then right now against the 5 Stargates, no Warp Gate build from Haas. I don't like this call, Todd. I would have really preferred to see an infestation pit and try to land the Oracle, or excuse me, the Fungal Grove that Zerg Dreams are made of.
How many Oracles is that?
21. Blackjack. It's gonna hit it as well, Todd. It's gonna double down on it. I mean, even these cannons are gonna be hard for all these Hydras to take out already. I guess lurkers can sort of work.
Haas knows the army is elsewhere. He's gonna go for it. Look at that damage. That hatchery is gonna melt in 1 second. If he goes for it, chooses to go for the units as well. The mobility on these Oracles is insane. And that hatchery is gonna be a thing of the past here.
Yep, that hatchery is going to fall. That means that right now TLO only has 2 bases. Maybe he's gonna use lurkers to kill the cannons, right? And then use spore crawlers to go forward.
Yeah.
But I feel that Haas could buy so much time for himself that TLO right now on these 2 hatcheries is in an absolute world of trouble.
Ooh, TLO, he might go around here. If he attacks into that 3rd base, it's one of the lesser protected ones.
It's gonna take forever before he gets close to the Stargates, though. I just really feel that Haas has so much time to build extra Oracles. It's really important that TLO gets a couple of Overseers as well, because you don't want to run into stasis traps. He's gonna be able to get 1 pylon there, but I think it's better to just ignore that base. This base, a lot of these Oracles don't have energy, actually. I'm not sure if that's enough to kill the spores, as I feel a lot of them are super low, but it seems like they have a little bit of energy left. That is a lot of Hydralisk as well, though, Todd. I have no idea what's happening.
It's just a base trade. TLO realized he was not going to be able to take on this army in the long run with too many cannons. He attacked where there was not enough defense and he's going to start losing his bases almost as quick as he's taking them out across the map. TLO just kind of running around with his drones.
Look at the Oracles, Todd. So many of them are completely out of energy. A few new Oracles have showed up. A few Oracles in the main base get picked off as well. So TLO does get on top of the Stargates. So he's going to be able to delay the Oracle production for quite some time.
It's still 26 Oracles against 53 Hydralisk right now. TLO is destroying the main base of Haas. He's going to kill all of the Stargates very quickly. Haas is re-expanding elsewhere. He still has so many cannons here. There on that 1 base right there.
Yeah, there are 30 cannons. Do you know how hard it is to kill 30 cannons with Hydralisk? Like, I don't care how good your engagement is or the concave, so to speak. Like, that's still going to be very awkward. 53 probes went down. At least he still has an Overseer there, so he spots the stasis. But Todd, it's going to be very hard to take care of all these cannons. Maybe get behind the mineral line?
He has a far superior economy right now. TLO engaging into the cannons. Has reacting a little bit late. He's got his Oracles across the map. The pylons gonna empowering. They're going to be empowering all of these cannons here.
God.
TLO going for a kill move, noticing that the Oracles were across the map with his creep in the middle and the vision that he had from that.
Well, that's a lot of Oracles that are about to fly in. 36 Hydras against 23 Oracles. The probes are going to help out a little bit as well. It seems like all the Oracles have energy, and these Hydras, Todd, are melting away. And TLO just lost his entire army, and that's going to be it. Haas will advance to the playoffs of WCS Montreal. And TLO will once again be stranded in the round of 32. I think Haas thinks the game is still going on, but TLO is actually walking across the stage already. He's like, hey man, don't worry, I actually did leave the game. And Haas is like, yeah, did you? All right, I guess I won, right?
I'll still finish you.
He's like, do you know what the most satisfying thing is? Having 30 Oracles and killing your final building.
Damn, that was crazy here by Haas once again. Another one of his main builds that we've seen him do in the past, and able to pull that off successfully here in a bit of a scrappy game in base trade.
Yeah, I have no idea what I just witnessed, Todd. Like, it's really hard.
You witnessed greatness.
It's hard to summon up that series, but I'm sure the people at home enjoyed it. Everybody loves watching a little bit of Haas. Very sad result, obviously, for Dario, who, you know, once again was in a good position to advance, wasn't able to close the deal.
He'll be back stronger.
Congratulations to the Taiwanese Zerg, who I believe might be joining Mao on the main stage. All right, no, he's not going to do that, but we're still going to take a look at what Mao has to say about that series. So, James, take it away.
Incredible series. It went as expected. You know, when I play games, I like it to be a nice, smooth, my one-sided games that I win all the time. But when I'm watching tournaments, when I'm watching all these games professionals play, I love watching dogfights. It was absolutely, you know, won and lost between the tactics, and that's the type of games I actually enjoy watching. What about you, Desk?
Yeah, good stuff, Mal. As you can see, Haas there, bringing his Haas specials. I can't decide if we need a new Haas reaction shot from somebody in the crowd or if we're on r/that happened, because at the moment, what we're witnessing from Haas is nothing but insanity, Nathaniel.
I've got a headache, man. My brain hurts.
The shake of the head.
He blocked himself out of his main base, couldn't transfer his workers out to the gold base, killed his own pylon with a zealot.
Yes.
Starved out TLO, and then
this.
We saw 25 something oracles kill 53 hydralisks like it was nothing, and
yeah.
That's
your reaction to all of that. What's your reaction, Zombie Group?
I feel physically ill.
Oh, okay.
That's
yeah, at least we're all in agreement.
It's such a heartbreaking series. Like, it wasn't just a 2-0, although that's also pretty bad. It was also just like every single game, both games were like, oh yeah, you know, TLO can win this one. Oh wait, actually doesn't have an economy. Oh wait, like Hydras don't actually beat Oracles, and just like, all right, now I understand StarCraft a little bit better. And I feel bad, really actually quite bad about TLO.
Oracle's just one of those units you're like, can I kill 50 Hydras with 20 Oracles if I just aim at the middle?
I don't feel like Protoss players are asking that every time they do it. They're like, maybe this will work.
I mean, if anybody's going to do it to that level, it's Haas.
Yeah, and then you know, the thing was, you could see the hesitation because he like went in and out, and it was like, he's like, I don't know if I can do this. And then he like didn't actually lose almost any of the Oracles. But he was like, oh, I guess it worked.
Do a lot of damage.
There you go.
Commiserations, obviously, for TLO. Now, unfortunately for him, out of the tournament. Obviously, his WCS Circuit run in 2017 has been being knocked out by some of the world's best Protoss players.
His 2017 WCS Circuit runs have been him getting destroyed by Neeb. And this was definitely a lot more painful way to be knocked out.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I think you see like a clear road. You're like, I can still get second after being, you know, put down into that decider match. You're up against a guy that you already beat and who you think you know the style of because he did beat him once, and then you still get, you know, 2-0, and it's just like that. That's really painful.
I think a lot of people share the same sentiment for TLO. Unfortunately, for 2017, he hasn't been able to show his full self on the big stages here, so he'll have to come back in 2018 strong. Here's the groups and how they've unfolded so far. We do still have some games going on, though, correct?
Yeah, there's still a few matches going on. Zombie Group and I jumped into a few, but this one's just started. Kelazar is playing against Namshar.
Okay.
They got a good TvZ thing, and their game just paused. Nothing's actually happening here yet, but we can assume Kelazar, who's had some pretty good runs this year, probably that's one of his best years, to be honest.
Yes, yes.
He's definitely one of those guys that I would give him more the dark horse label because he's not the big champion player, but he's improved enough that it's like he could be that dude that makes that run because he has taken out some of the bigger names in these previous events.
Well, currently he sits at 2,650 points.
Yeah.
He is 6th place in the WCS rankings, but Namshar had a great run through WCS Europe Challenger. So he beat some of the really big names in the European scene, so who knows what could go on there. Zombie Grub, what do you have currently going on?
I have Euthermal Nerchio, which is a rematch, actually. Euthermal was able to defeat him in the initial match 2-1, so now they're rematching. Euthermal lost to Masa 2-0. So it's actually a pretty cool decider match. You can see here, like it's just really started, you know, game number 1, and not much has actually happened. A couple Lings had a scuffle, but that's really it so far.
The Lings had a scuffle.
Yes.
There's some Hellions and a Liberator.
Yeah, you know, there's some StarCraft stuff going on.
Just chilling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
He made a tweet about how Masa destroyed him though, which I thought was interesting. I was like, apparently Masa is in Super Saiyan form for this tournament.
Nice. For a lot of the Terrans in the Challenger series, I think that for Massa, he had to defeat Semper, so the Terrans always end up cannibalizing each other in the Challengers and then being able to, one of them advances on. I think a similar thing almost happened in WCS Europe Challenger, but unfortunately was not to be the case, because there's always two, and then they always knock each other out, and then someone always comes and knocks them out. But Massa doing well, as you mentioned.
Yeah. And it's kind of about time, you know, like Austin was a really good tournament from last year, and then this year he's very disappointed in his results at Austin. So he's had like, you know, okay ones, and then it's finally like, okay, maybe this is the time, like 2-0ing Uthermal, getting out your group first, like apparently very easily. That's a good sign.
All right, so we have a lot of our players already going through into the round of 16. Of course, our bracket cannot be formed and conclude until we actually have some of these series finish up.
Yeah.
Are there other streams that these are currently on right now, do you recall? People joining them with you?
I mean, we've definitely had a couple of other channels covering the games.
Yeah.
I know that there were a few. I know Base Trade was covering some of them from here. I don't know if they're still on.
Okay.
It seemed a little bit late at the venue.
Yeah, mine's being covered by Wardy, actually.
Okay,
Nice.
perfect.
Base God Wardy.
So if anybody wants to keep up to date with those series as they do continue on, Base Trade and Wardy are probably going to be covering some of those.
Some double armory action then.
Yeah, there's some mech going on
Get
here.
more of your mech memes from Uthermal. Tune into Wardy's stream then, yeah?
And look at that,
Yeah.
Kelazar able to be victorious in this one.
Because they had to remake the lock.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is that why?
Yeah, it is.
Not victorious then, never mind. So those will continue on, and that basically rounds out things for day number 1 here for WCS Montreal. Don't forget there is the sale going on for StarCraft 2 as well at the moment, and you can get StarCraft 4 cheaper. You can get the campaign, the multiplayer, everything. Come play co-op as well, because it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Come pick up the new Dahaka.
Yes.
The new Dahaka.
If you've ever wanted...
He's an object.
If you have ever dreamed of becoming a giant monster that eats everything and eventually becomes the size of a skyscraper,
Yeah.
play Dahaka. It's probably my favorite co-op commander at this point, honestly.
Yeah.
The fact that you just actually eat all of your enemies is amazing.
For me, nothing beats Alarak. Being able to hit things with the wave, it's fantastic.
And he's pretty cool.
He doesn't literally eat the bad guys on the field.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
He would if he could. It's Alarak.
That's
Judging by his character.
Yes, yeah.
He had a mouth.
Yeah, if he had a mouth.
He would do it in a more refined way. He'd like saute the lings or something. Like he wouldn't just like straight up.
Well, Protoss photosynthesize. That's how they gain their energy.
That is a terrible life to live.
That's-
There's some good food in the universe, man.
All right, I think we're done for now, ladies and gentlemen. So huge thank you for tuning in to day number 1 here of WCS Montreal. Make sure to tune in tomorrow where we'll have 4 matches from the round of 16 covered here, and then 4 of those other matches will be covered by the external streams, and then we'll be moving on to our quarterfinals as well. It's all important here in WCS Montreal as we continue to find out who our top 8 players are going to be for the WCS circuit moving on to BlizzCon. Bye for now.